very exciting speaker this week, Mayor of Dublin, California, David Haubert. We'll just start to let everybody funnel in, but maybe David, if you want to give a quick hello to everybody out in the audience.
Well, hello everyone and welcome and thank you for attending today's discussion. I'm very excited to be here with my friends from BEEC, and we have an interesting topic. We will have plenty of time for questions and answers. I will try to do my best to give a great discussion on the topic, how to become a leader in your community. And I know it takes a few moments for everybody to come in, and so we'll give everybody a few extra minutes to do that. But I'm excited to be here. And thank you for your time, and I look forward to a great time together this evening.
Absolutely. Yeah, thank you so much, Mayor Halbert. It is a very exciting talk this week. We have a lot of questions always come in from students, parents. What is leadership? How do you pursue community service? What kind of opportunities are around me? How to develop as a leader? It's just a huge topic in education, especially with our students. So I think, we can hop right into it. Before we do, we always like to just share a little bit about, who is BEC. I can already tell from a number of participants, I recognize the names. Some maybe are new, but essentially at BEC Education, although you could say we do college consulting, tutoring, test prep, the things associated with traditional education consulting, we always emphasize our education philosophy, the idea that college is simply a tool. It's simply a stage in your life for your future, and it's our goal to help you plan for that future. So what kind of person are you trying to become? What kind of problems are you trying to solve? What sort of career path suits you? And if we can keep that as the goal, then suddenly the plans we can provide can be a lot more meaningful, more impactful, more beneficial for college as you become the kind of students colleges want. The idea is you have a strong background for yourself, a strong vision for your future, so colleges want that type of student. So in addition to our yearly mentor consulting service, which covers middle school students, high school students, college students, and besides application consulting, which is also for applying to high schools, undergraduate, graduate schools, very important for us is always providing opportunities for our students, whether that's through hands-on research with professors or fantastic internship opportunities with our partners. That is something that we find critical, so students can get real-world experience doing the thing that may be, their career for life. And yeah, we do have Mayor Haubert in the back, quite tall in this picture. So I really appreciate Mayor Haubert's commitment to education throughout the years. Of course, if anyone wants to contact us, this is how you can do so. We have our WeChat account, we have our website, we have email, Facebook, YouTube, all sorts of different communication channels. We always love to just get in communication with more students, more parents. And yeah, I wanted to just give a little bit more introduction of Mayor Haubert before he begins, but it's really quite special. His road in public service, I'm sure he's going to go into it much more deeply, but the idea of being a longtime school board member, just being inspired by the needs of his own community, joining the school board, UCLA grad, then expanding into the role of course, Mayor of Dublin, now going for county supervisor, just a real career in public service, and with a special attention paid on education. So yeah, really appreciate the time, Mayor Haubert, and I will let you take over from here. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you, Jonathan. And again, thank you and welcome to everybody on the call. I'm going to say a few words, 15, 20 minutes roughly, and then open up for questions and answers. So you can get your questions ready now if you have them, or as you hear my presentation, you can also ask at any time, but we'll wait until the lecture's over and then go into questions and answers. The very first thing that I want to tell everyone about, and to make it very clear, that the leader that you want to be is up to you. You get to make the decisions and decide the kind of leader you want to be. But it's very important that you be very mindful of that as you define who you want to be, that you do it in a mindful and purposeful way. The other thing I want to say is that here in the United States that anybody is able to become a leader. Of course, we have some restrictions. You must be a resident, really a citizen of the United States. To be the president, you must be born in America, so not naturalized. But well, I don't know about naturalized. Anyway, anybody that is a citizen can be elected. That means that it's not something that you have to be born into a particular family, or you have to be born into a certain status, or that you have to know the right people. Instead, anybody can put their name on the ballot. You have to be 18 years older and not have a criminal record and things like that. But for the most part, just about anybody can become an elected official. That means you can become elected to the school board, you can become elected to the city council, elected to mayor, elected to the state legislature, elected to the US Congress, a congress person or a senator. You can become elected president if you are an American citizen born in America. Anybody can become an elected leader. And so that can be a good thing, and that can also be a not so good thing, because sometimes you have people that maybe try to become elected that are not as qualified, or don't do it for the right reasons, or whatever. But it's also a very good thing, because it means that you must compete to become a leader. You must receive the support and the votes and the commitment of your community. And so we say in America that we are elected, we elect our leaders. We say of the people, by the people, and for the people. That means we come of the people. If you live in a city, you must come from that city to be that city's mayor. You must live in that city, you must, or in that state, you must be a resident of the people. And then it's by the people, meaning the rest of you, the people in that area, in that city, or in that state elect you. It's not selected by somebody else in another part of the country. It is of the people, and then by the people, and then for the people. So the final step there is you're elected to serve the people. It's not meant to be a position where you enrich yourself. It's meant to be a position in which you serve others. So we say that leaders are really community servants, or really meant to serve the people. And so often you get very good people that are willing to donate their time to serve their community, to do very important things like run the school board, or run the city council, be the mayor, or run the state assembly, or run the congressional federal offices. Many of these positions are volunteer almost. You get a small stipend, very small, but not even enough to be a full-time job. So often we have retired people, or people that have semi-retired, or people like me who have their own consulting business, and I'm able to manage my schedule effectively. But we are community servants for the most part. Local elected leaders like mayors, city council members, school board leaders are community servants. We are elected of the people, by the people, and for the people. So this means there's great opportunity. Anybody can become elected. They must be the very best selected by the community. And they're very often good people that want to be community servants and make their community a better place. So it's a very noble thing to do, and a very good thing to do. And I'm proud that I've been doing this now for 18 years, all on a part-time volunteer basis for the most part. 10 years on the school board in Dublin, 8 years on the city council, 6 as the mayor, and now moving into hopefully what will be a county supervisor position if I am elected. And so I will tell you again, anybody can do this, but how do you do it? The very first thing that I will tell you to do if you're interested is to volunteer for others and learn how they learn the ropes, learn the rules of the game, so to speak, learn the role. Go and watch the city council meetings, go and watch the school board meetings, and watch and listen and learn, and make sure that it's something that you really want to do. Volunteer for a mayor, maybe take an internship, or volunteer for a school board leader, and really get to know them. Go to the meetings and watch what they do at the agendas that they serve for their meetings, and maybe even volunteer for a commission. So before you run for office, you may want to volunteer for a commission. I will also tell you that being a community leader doesn't necessarily have to be an elected position. You could be appointed by the mayor to serve on a committee or a commission. Being a planning commissioner means that you could be a community leader without running in an election. You still serve a great role called the planning commission, but you're appointed by the mayor. If you are a commissioner, then you very likely will learn what it means to become the mayor, and you can then become a more credible candidate if you would like to run for mayor. So volunteer, take a commission position, maybe take an internship, really watch and listen before you try to become an elected leader yourself. While anybody can run in an election, they can put their name on the ballot. The ones that win are the ones that are most knowledgeable because they have prepared themselves. Like I said, an internship, maybe volunteered, and they can become very prepared. They become very well known in the community already. And then when they run, they already have the support of many people in the community. So the first thing is prepare yourself by knowing the position, by volunteering. The next thing I will tell you to do to become a very effective leader is to have a very good team of support. Other people that you know that are willing to support you to be the best elected leader you can be. You must have a strong network, a group of friends that are loyal to you, that will help you. Maybe they will see things that you don't see, and they will give you advice. And maybe they will help you to complete tasks that you need to do in order to become elected. They will help you in the community to spread the word about your election, to help gain support in the community, to help defend you if your opponents try to attack you in an election. You always have to have a good, strong network of people around you. Nobody can do everything by themselves. Somebody that does not work well with others will generally not make a very strong leader. So after you prepare yourself, also prepare your team and get a very strong team. The next thing that I will tell you is that you must be knowledgeable about the position. So if you just want to be a leader to become a leader and no real goals and no real objectives, you will probably not become a very effective leader, and you will not be able to convince the people in the community to elect you. So you must be very clear about your vision, what it is that you hope to accomplish if you become elected. And those goals and accomplishments that you have must be relevant to the people that will elect you, the community. If you want to do some things, but the rest of the community doesn't feel the same way, they're not going to vote for you. So you must do research. You must talk to the community, listen to the community, find out what it is that they would like to see in the community, and then arrange your priorities to align with theirs. The people will not elect you to accomplish your goals. They will elect you to accomplish their goals. So you must align with the community, and you must have a very well-defined mission statement that if you are elected, what you will accomplish, and that must be meet with the respect of the community, They must agree to that. They must believe that you can accomplish those things, and then they will vote for you. The next thing I will tell you that elected leaders must do in order to become elected, in order to get their message to the community, is you very likely must raise money to run a campaign. Unfortunately, campaigns do cost money. They are expensive. When you have multiple people running in a campaign, how do you convince the community to vote for you to get the most votes? Often comes down to having the resources. And so here, having a strong team, having strong preparation, having strong ties in the community, having a message that is well received by the community will give you the opportunity to collect contributions from your fellow residents who also want to see you become elected. Even a small amount of money to receive as a campaign contribution is very important. So one thing that is very common in America is to have campaign fundraisers, to ask people to vote with their dollars. They vote for you by giving you money. That means they're also going to support you and tell their friends to also consider voting for you. The person that raises the most money, often that means that they have the most support in the community. Of course, it matters that they who is contributing to their campaigns and things like that. I will tell you that this is can be a very controversial topic about who funds campaigns, but at the end of the day, the person that raises the most money from the most people in the community is very likely to receive the most votes. And so after you prepare yourself by educating yourself, after you prepare your team of support network, and after you create your messaging for why you want to run and that it meets the standards of the community, and then you must raise the money to fund your campaign and to get the votes. The next step is you have to run a campaign. You have to sign up and create all of the things that you need to do, put your name on the ballot, put a ballot statement, and run in a campaign, ask people to vote for you. That means that you're probably going to have to debate against your colleagues that are running against you. That means that you'll have to spend a lot of time in the campaign working with members in the community. And then it all comes down to the final day of voting and the election day. And then it's a bit like running a race. And I can tell you the finish line is the election day, because after that, it doesn't matter, it's all over. And the finish line is the election day. And when you're running a race, but you don't know where the other runner is. And so you're running as fast as you can because you want to get as many votes as you can. And you really don't know where the other runner is. Maybe you will have a poll, maybe you have some feeling for whether you have more votes than the other person, but you really don't know until election day. So you're running a race, you're running as fast as you can. You don't know where the other runners are, but you do know the end line, the finish line, which is the election day. And I can tell you that election days in America are some of the most exciting days for candidates and their supporters as they watch the results of the election that night. And even it takes maybe a few days or weeks to count all the votes. But that's a very exciting time. And then you serve. And so you always have to be mindful that once you are elected, you have to serve the office the best that you can. And in order to do this, you must prepare yourself. You must prepare to meet people, not as a candidate anymore. You're not asking for their vote, but now you're listening to their concerns and trying to solve their concerns. Here, after you're elected, I can tell you that you must quickly change from being an individual candidate to transition to be a member of a team. So in a city council, for example, there's often 5 people, 1 mayor and 4 council members, but that group of 5 are the ones that make decisions. That means that any one person doesn't have control of the entire council. You need 3 people in that case to make a decision. And so you must learn to be a member of a team. You must learn to work well with the team. You must learn to make decisions as a member of a team, always being mindful that you as an individual can't make unilateral decisions. You must be a member of a team. If you go to the state legislature, there's often 40 or 50 people in your state that are making decisions in that regard. If you run for the federal government, Congress, there's 400 and some congressmen, 50 or 100 senators. And so even there, you have to be the member of a team. But if you go back to your message and what goals you have, and if they meet the goals and objectives of the residents of your community, then you should have some alignment there. But you have to become a member of a team. Then you have to know that you as an elected leader have to hire a very good staff, a good team. No one person can run the city. We have to hire good people to run the city, and we generally hire a city manager. And you have to realize that the city manager then is the person doing the daily operations of the city. And oftentimes the mayor and the city council are giving direction to the city manager, but the city manager is the one that's actually operating the city. Or in the case of a school district, the superintendent is the one operating the daily activities of the school district. The school board hires the superintendent and holds them accountable for goals and objectives. So as you're the member of a team, you are also formulating very clear direction to your city manager or your superintendent. You're giving them very specific goals and objectives. You're evaluating their performance, often on an annual basis, so that you have to be very good at evaluating how they perform. And you have to be very trusting that they will do a good job. The best way they can do their job is if you give them very clear direction. And so the best leaders are often ones that can be very strategic thinkers, that can think about the outcome and not about the individual steps to achieve the outcome. Think of the outcome and then hire good people, give them clear direction and evaluate their outcome, but then let them take care of getting it done. And so good leaders are very strategic thinkers. They're ones that can think about the overall system of running a city or a school district and can illustrate what they would like to see happen, the goals and objectives, and then evaluate others actually getting that work done. That can be frustrating for somebody if a leader wants to get in and actually make quick decisions and run things. You have to realize that that's not the job of an elected leader. Their job is to give direction and then to let the staff accomplish those goals and objectives. So after you're elected, you're going to find that you have to be a team, you have to give good direction, and you have to trust the people that you hire to run those things. And then you have to evaluate. If they're not performing well, you'll have to find a way to make a change. We change the city manager or the superintendent from time to time. If they're not doing a good job, that happens. But it's also very important that you stay focused on the big picture, the strategy, and the outcome, and let the professionals take care of the day-to-day operations. So those are qualities of a good leader. Always along the way, listening to the people in your community, because eventually, every 2 years or every 4 years, you will have to come up for re-election. And so when you're elected, it's for a period of time. If you do a good job, you will get re-elected. If you don't do a good job, or maybe you do a good job, but the community changes and maybe new people move into the community, or things change and they want to go a different way. If you don't continually update with the community, understand the needs and wants of the community, you may be not reelected. Maybe somebody else comes along and runs against you and have a better vision with the community and more support, or they're able to raise more money, and you lose the election, then the new person will take over. And so a good leader will always be mindful of their community wants and needs and desires, and continue to fulfill them, knowing that the voters are the ones that keep the elected people in office. Here again, oftentimes a position may be limited by the number of years of service. So oftentimes 8 years is the maximum. If you're in office for 8 years, then you've had enough time and you can't run again. Somebody else will run instead. And so that's called an open seat. But otherwise, you keep running until you're not elected anymore, or you decide to retire. Some cities don't have a term limit. So in one case, a mayor was the mayor for 40 years. And so he was reelected 10 times to 4-year terms. Other cities have terms that are 2 years. And so every city is a little bit different, but the main point is you must be elected and you must do a good job in order to get reelected. So that's the other thing that I will tell you about being a good leader, is that you have to continually serve the community and become re-elected. So in a couple of other things I will tell you, it's not required that you have an advanced degree, but it could be very helpful. It's not required that you come from a wealthy family, although that may be helpful. It's not required that you studied government in school. You could be an English major or a philosophy major or a biology major. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what your profession is. You have people that become mayor. Maybe they were a teacher, maybe they were a lawyer, maybe they were a bus driver. It doesn't matter. You just have to be elected by the people. And so again, the main point is you compete against the other people in your community, and the best person with the most votes wins. So just as a brief recap, anybody can be elected. So set your sights high. If that's something you think you want to do, just about anybody can be elected. So you have that opportunity. You must prepare yourself by learning the role, attend meetings, volunteer, take an internship, be a commissioner maybe. You must have a strong team of supporters that are willing to help you. Nobody can do it by themselves. You must you must have a platform of issues and accomplishments that will be the same as the residents in your community, whether that's your city or your school district or your state. Then you must raise enough money to get the message out and let people understand why they should vote for you. You have to then run a campaign and be elected. Then you have to become the member of a team, be a strategic thinker, work closely with the people that you hire, and then you have to become re-elected. I'm fortunate that I've run 9 campaigns and I've always won. So the process I just described for you, I started first in the year 2002, re-elected again in 2006, re-elected again in 2010 to the school board, then 2012 to the city council, 2014 to mayor, 2016 mayor again, 2018 mayor again, 2020 earlier this year, county supervisor primary election, and then coming up again here in November, hopefully the general election I will win for county supervisor. All along the way, I followed the same process that I described with you, having a good team. Some team have been with me since 2002, people that I've known for 18 years that continue to support me. Some are new that have just recently started to support me, even in this last few months, new people coming on board to support my campaign. But all along my messaging, I make sure that it is the same that's popular with the residents in the community, that I have a strong team, that I raise the most money of any competitor. Usually that's mostly what I've been able to do, and then get the most votes. And so I will tell you that it's not easy. It takes a lot of work, but it's very rewarding. It's very satisfying. It's very comforting to me to know that I've helped to make my community the best that it can be. I'm very proud that when I was on the school board for 10 years in a row, every year the scores went up for the community, the school district. The students in the school district learned more because I was the leader of the school district for 10 years, one of the leaders. I'm very proud that in the city of Dublin, it's a great place to live and work and raise a family. It's very well respected. Money Magazine rated Dublin, California as one of the best places to live. We have a very strong economy. We have very nice places to live, $1 million homes, but also more affordable homes, some apartments. So we have a good mix of people and a good economy. So that means we can afford services and a good quality of life. We have a good mix of jobs and restaurants and great roads and just a very good, great parks and recreation facilities, great senior facilities and programs for senior citizens, a great library system. And so we are just very blessed, but it doesn't happen overnight that a good community just becomes a good community. A good community is made by good leaders. Over time, year in and year out, over a long period of time, if a community is a good community, it's because good people spent a lot of time making it happen. It doesn't happen overnight. So the one thing I'll leave you with is it's such a gratifying and satisfying and rewarding accomplishment if you were to become an elected leader, that you can look back and really say that you made a difference in the community. So it's not without its sacrifices. It's a lot of hard work, but again, it's very rewarding. So with that, I will say that it's been a while. It's a bit of a brief lecture, and I would just like to say we can now take a few minutes for questions and answers.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Mayor Halbert, thank you so much. I think it was very illuminating about the pathway to becoming an elected official, what it means to be an elected official, the impact that they make, and just the structure of government even. So yeah, very, very good. I have a couple of questions myself, but let's first go to the audience. And anybody, please write your questions into the Q&A section or directly into the Zoom chat. Either or works. We have one question that came in. What do you see as something an Asian person should pay more attention to in order to become a leader? This is a question from the audience.
That an Asian person?
Yes.
Yeah. Well, okay. First of all, again, just like anybody else, you'll have to have a good team with a good group of supporters and a good mission. I really think that if you're Asian and you look at your city council and you don't have any other Asians on the city council, or maybe you've never had an Asian on the city council, and you can be the first one, I think that there's a very strong openness within it depends on the community, of course, but I think most communities would be open to allowing somebody to come and be the very first Asian. So find maybe if you live in a city that you could be the first one, then use that to your advantage. Let people know that by adding diversity to the city council, by bringing your perspectives, that they will become a stronger city council. Don't be afraid of that. Use that to your advantage. And so that's the first thing. But I will also tell you that you will very likely have to have a very strong understanding of the English language. You will have to have, you must convince the general population that you will be one of the best leaders. And so you can do that, but you must make sure that you do that. And so learn English very well, learn to get along and to communicate with people very well, make friends with people. Surround yourself with more than just other Asian friends. Surround yourself with American friends, other ethnicities. In the Bay Area here in Dublin, we have very diverse populations, all kinds of people that come to California, come to America in general, the melting pot of the world. We have so many different groups of people. Get to know each of them, but I would bring your differences and background, your different culture, your experiences, your life experiences, bring them as a opportunity, and not let that be, don't let it be holding you back. Let it be your strength.
I think that's a great point. The idea of sort of leaning into the identity, right, rather than trying to avoid it or be concerned about it, but then while also recognizing and building bridges and consensus among different groups, right? So I think that goes into another general point of we're talking a lot about leadership in the community as it relates directly to elected officials or politics. Are there ways for A, students, or B, just your average citizen who maybe is not going to run for office, any organizations or tips on how they can be more active in the community? We get this all from students.
Yeah, you know what? That's a really good point. So some people prefer to not be the one running for election. They're not an extrovert wanting to meet people and convince them to get the votes or ask them to raise money. They would rather be somebody supporting the candidate. And so I can tell you that there's a very effective way to be a leader, maybe not an elected leader, but a leader of leaders, by knowing the elected people, by supporting mayors and council members, maybe even from multiple cities, and helping them become elected and being a resource for them behind the scenes, be a supporter of them. You can actually be a leader by being a supporter of multiple electeds in an area. There's a lot of power of influence that can happen by being somebody that supports electeds. Of course, you don't get to vote on decisions. You don't get to actually be the elected. But, like I said, over time, the electeds will move on because of term limits, or they get elected by somebody else. And so you can become quite a strong and powerful leader simply by supporting and knowing the right people. And maybe you're the type of person that would rather work behind the scenes and know the leaders as opposed to be an elected leader.
That's a great point. There's many opportunities to be connected, even influencing and definitely leading, even if you're not in the specific elected role. And we do have another question that comes in. Someone in the audience says, it seems that there are a number of public positions that don't pay so much or not enough to be a full-time job. How do people make a living, devote themselves to public service? How do you allocate the time between the public service and more personal income? That's an interesting question.
Yeah, so again, often you'll see that mayors are often retired, or they're semi-retired, or maybe they have a spouse that works, or like me, I work 2 jobs. My consulting job on top of being the mayor. You have to be very good at balancing your life, very good at budgeting your time, very effective at focusing on the things that matter most and not waste time on things that don't matter. And so these are all very important things to do. I would say that also sometimes, the higher up you go, the state offices and the federal offices, they are full-time jobs. And so to be very clear, you can have a full-time job as an elected official at the state level, even at the county level and at the federal level. But at the local level, unless it's a very large city, so a large city like Oakland or San Francisco or Los Angeles or New York, there you have a mayor that does have a full-time salary, and it is a full-time job. If you want to be the mayor of a large city, it can be even more influential than state or congressional leaders. The mayor of New York is a very powerful position, more powerful than many Congress people. But those are few and far between. The vast majority of local elected people, it's a part-time job with a very low salary. So be prepared.
I mean, it really.
And Jonathan, I want to address it. There are organizations that, nonprofits that are there. APAPA, the Asian Pacific American group, APAPA is a wonderful place to go and meet other Asians who are like-minded, who maybe eventually want to run for office someday or not, but that they support local electeds and individually, but they really do a lot of community service. And so APAPA is a group that works with electeds to get community service projects done. And because they work with electeds, they have a lot of influence with them and often then become electeds themselves. So that's a great way to get to meet people. As I mentioned, interning or volunteering. Work for a group like APAPA is a good way. They are also very good at working with the youth of the community. A lot of students get internships with APAPA. I've had APAPA students before and always enjoy having them. And so the parents that work and volunteer for APAPA are often doing very good community work and may make a good place to start your political career.
I think, yeah, it's very true. There's a number of organizations, that are politically minded that do great work. PAPA's one of them, and there's the number that are, national, local. So that's the way that, even a student can get involved, even if they're not quite, going to be fundraising for a candidate or something of that nature. Here's a good question. Do you, in order to get involved or to be relevant in the process of politics, do you have to be a party member first? Do they select you and endorse you, or? Yeah.
Yeah, this is a very good question, and indeed something that affects every elected. So there are two main parties, the Democrat Party and the Republican Party, and but within that there's a wide variable, a wide range, difference of thought between the parties. So you could be a Democrat and maybe disagree with other Democrats, or a Republican and disagree with other Republicans, because you don't always agree on every aspect. But for the most part, the ideology of a Democrat is different than the ideology of a Republican. There are some crossovers. You do not have to be the member of a party to be in a local elected nonpartisan position. Most city council and school board positions at the local community level are nonpartisan. It doesn't mean that you're not a member of a party. You can be, but you're not generally elected as a member of that party. Now that's the way it works in California, but in other states, they do have a partisan mayor or a partisan council member. You do run as a member of a party. So in some states, in the Midwest, for example, Ohio, I think Illinois, you become the member of a party and then you run as a member of the party, even at the local level. But in California, the city council and school boards are nonpartisan seats. But again, you may identify as a member of a Democrat or Republican party. And so then you have states that are, or areas, regions that are known for being one way or the other. The Bay Area is known for being very democratic, being very heavily a Democrat area. In the inland part of the state, we have areas that are known to be more Republican. Other states are known to be more Republican, whereas California is known to be Democrat. And so every state has sort of a natural lean. Some are so very closely aligned, that equal, that it could go one way or the other. They're almost the same, and so an even number. The ones that are not in any party are what we call independents, or unaffiliated with the party, no party preference. For me, for a very long time, I was a non-party, not in either party. And so I identified with things that Democrats would identify with, and I identified with things that Republicans would identify with. I always voted on things that I felt based on the issue at hand, not based on what one party was saying to do or not. At the federal level, though, and at the state level, they very much are dominated by party. You are a Democrat congressman or a Republican congressman. You are a Democrat senator or a Republican senator. And I never really liked that because I felt like you always had to do everything that your party tells you to do. What if you don't agree with it? Well, they really put a lot of pressure on you to do what the party wants you to do. So now I have continued to be a nonpartisan, not in any party, independent. And the benefit to that is I get to have friends in both parties. My friends are Democrats. Some of my friends are Republicans. When you're in a system that requires you to choose, then oftentimes you only have friends that are in that party. All your friends are Democrats or all your friends are Republicans. And I just never saw the value in that. So I am a nonpartisan, no party, and I've won 8 elections in a row. And so I can tell you that it could very well be done. But at the higher level, you pretty much would have to pick one or the other.
Yeah, I think that's a great point because I feel most people's biggest exposure to politics is presidential elections and this sort of thing where it's always so clearly Republicans versus Democrats, and that's what the articles are written about, and that's what the news is about. On the local level, what you're saying a lot is unrelated to necessarily party politics. I mean, just trying to get things done, trying to improve the community. There may be a party that you're affiliated with, but it's not necessarily the core element, unlike with some of these kind of national races. We do have one more question. I always like to address the questions. But for California, there used to be Republican governors and mayors, but we don't see many anymore. Is there any reason? I don't know to the extent you can comment on this, but it's a question posed by our audience.
Yeah, well, it's a very interesting question. And, some people feel that California has changed quite a bit. Indeed, back in the 1950s, we had Republican, Ronald Reagan was a Republican governor of California. George Mage and Pete Wilson, we've had governors that, Arnold Schwarzenegger. And then we've also most recently, though, had very strong Democrat leaders. And so California, maybe, as I mentioned, your electorate can change. And so a couple of things that I think have happened. One, the electorate changed a little bit. We had more and more people move to California from other areas. They were not the same as what the people of California changed. We grew quite a bit by people coming in. So when you have new people coming in that think differently, then we've had more Democrats move to California. And then that's one thing. And then the other thing is that I think the party's ideology has shifted over time. So what some people don't know is while Ronald Reagan is maybe one of the most famous Republican presidents, and but he was a Democrat early on. And so here you have a person who was a Democrat who changed to Republican, who said the Democratic Party changed. And I know he says he no longer felt the same as that party. So he left and went to the other party. Here at the federal level, we have Donald Trump, a Republican president. Well, for his whole life, he was a Democrat in New York, and grew up as a Democrat and then changed to become a Republican. In some of those cases, the person changed. Trump changed to a Republican, or maybe he feels the party changed, I don't know. But in Ronald Reagan's case, he says very clearly the party changed and he no longer felt associated with the ideals of that party. So in California, two things happened. The electorate changed. Many people moved into California that were not Republicans. And I do believe the ideology changed a little bit. Republicans changed a little bit, and Democrats changed a little bit based on, their platform evolved, and And the bottom line is, though, today you have a very strong, entrenched group of Democrats, overwhelmingly the majority. And the other thing to without getting into all the details, 50-50, majority is 50% plus one, but oftentimes you need 2/3 to make things happen faster. And so we call that a supermajority. And when you have a supermajority, you can get just about anything done. And in California, the Democrats have had a supermajority for quite some time, or close to it, give or take a year here or there, for a very long time. And so if you think things are getting better and better and better, well, then that validates your decision to continue to support the Democrat Party. If you think things are getting worse and worse and worse, then you have to say to yourself, the Democrats are in charge with the supermajority. Why do we continue to do that? So, of course, the answer is they continue to get elected. The ballot box is always the best way to resolve that. But indeed, California is solidly Democrat. Again, it doesn't mean you have to be a Democrat. I'm not in either party, but it also means, though, that I'm not going to run for state office. I'm going to stay at the local level and lead locally. That's where my passion and skills are.
Thank you, Mayor Halbert. That was a great response. I think there's this notion of Democrats are this way, Republicans are this way, but there is an evolution over time, and then it's up to people to make the decision of who they align with or what kind of viewpoints they align with. If you don't mind, I think we can take one more question. This is another good one, though. So, where do professional politicians start their careers? Is it always city level, or work with the senator first, or aspiring?
Yeah.
What do I do?
No, it's a great point. And so there are, again, many paths to get there. There's no one way to get it done, but and it depends on what you want to accomplish. For me, leading locally, making decisions for the city, for the school district locally, that path is very clear. Become a good member in your community, volunteer, get known, become elected to the city council and mayor. If you truly know that you want to go make big policy decisions for the state or the federal government, you don't have to at all become a local person. You can go straight away and become elected. In our area, Catherine Baker was a state assemblywoman, never had was never a mayor, never a city council member. She was succeeded by Assembly Member Bauer Kahan. I'm pretty sure she also didn't have any local elected experience, just ran for the state assembly. And so that does happen. But for the most part, the higher you go, a governor is very likely to have been a state legislator. A congressman is very likely to have been a mayor or a council member. Not always, but very often, just as a function of getting your name out, becoming recognized, and all of that. But the bottom line is you have to look at each race and each level of government and become well versed in what that role is. Know your platform and what you're going to run on, and make sure that it aligns with the electorate. I will say also, though, that sometimes these are planned years in advance, decades in advance, that somebody will be chosen at a very young age, that someday you will be, a congressman or a senator or a governor, and it can take 20 years to get there. So think in the long term about how to do that. And some people plan that they will be at a certain council member for a certain number of years, mayor for a certain number of years. You always also have to count the number of years on a term. You maybe don't want to run against somebody for mayor if they're an incumbent. You want to wait until they're termed out and it's an open seat. So some people will plan that they will be in a certain position because 4 years from now or 6 years from now or 8 years from now, that will be an open seat. And then they will go for that seat. And then they realize the next place they want to go, they have to wait until somebody is retiring. So they will plan accordingly where they will go based on the number of years left with the incumbent. That can always change because the incumbent can lose or retire early or something like that. So you always have to watch. But for the most part, you have to have a plan, and you have to be adaptable to change that plan if things change.
Sure. Well, thank you so much, Mayor Halbert, for the great presentation, explanation, and answering all the questions. And yeah, hope that was enlightening for our audience. Always appreciate everybody, joining on a Friday evening or Saturday morning, depending upon where in the world our audience is. So yeah, thank you so much, Mayor Halbert, and yeah, have a great week.
Jonathan, let me end by saying, for anybody that's on this call that's affiliated with BEEC that would like to remain in touch, I have an open door policy. You can reach me through Jonathan or through, I'm on the internet. You can find me very easily. Be happy to continue to answer any questions you may have if I have time on email. I'm on WeChat too, if you want to WeChat me. Stay involved if you want to volunteer or intern or otherwise prepare yourself. I'd be happy to work with you. I enjoy developing good people and helping them be the best that they can be. So I'm happy to do that. Just reach me through Jonathan.
Very gracious of you. Thank you for extending the hand after already, taking the time for the webinar tonight. All right. Thank you so much. And to everybody watching, have a good night.
Okay.
Have a good day. Okay.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.